and welcome back to your public library's Thinkers and Tinkers Lab Home Edition. As always, I'm Jen, and I'm with you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. with fun STEAM activities. So that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics activities that you can do at home. Today, we're exploring the M in STEAM, which of course stands for mathematics. We're exploring measurements used in baking. Today, we have 3 goals. Goal number 1 is to learn what measurement is and about the measurement tools that we use in baking. Goal number 2 is to learn what a recipe is and how to follow one. Goal number 3 is to practice measuring and following a recipe by making original Rice Krispie treats. There are quite a few things that you're going to need today, but the first and most important is an adult helper. Make sure to ask someone who can use the stove to help you with this project. To make the Rice Krispie treats, here's what you'll need. Rice Krispie cereal, marshmallows, butter, a pot, a pan, measuring cups, measuring spoons, and a wooden spoon. Go ahead and gather all the materials now. Got everything you need? Awesome, let's get started. Before we begin baking, let's talk about measurement. What is a measurement? Well, measurement is a number that tells us the size or the amount of something. We can measure weight, height, length, time, temperature, speed, and so much more. In today's video, we'll mostly be measuring volume. Volume is the amount of space that something takes up. When we're cooking or baking, we normally measure the volume or the amount of food that we need for a specific recipe. Okay, so we know what measurement is and we know what volume is, but what's a recipe again? Let me remind you, a recipe tells us how to make a certain food or a dish. That could be macaroni and cheese, banana bread, or even chicken nuggets. Recipes normally have 3 things. Number 1, recipes will give you specific instructions for a specific dish. For example, a recipe will tell you what temperature to set your oven at, what type of pan to use, and what order to mix the ingredients in. Number 2, a recipe will give the baker or the cook a list of ingredients, which is the food you need for making the dish. Number 3, a recipe will tell you the amount of each ingredient that you need. That's also called the measurement of each ingredient. A lot of recipes will use cups and spoons as measurements for the ingredients. But you can't just use any old cup or spoon. You have to use cups and spoons that are standardized. Let me explain. Let's pretend that my recipe says I need 1 cup of flour to bake my cookies. So I go into my kitchen and I find all my cups. As you can see, I have many different sizes of cups. So how do I know which size cup to use? The answer is none of these. When I'm following a recipe, I have to use measuring cups and measuring spoons that are standardized. That means that they're the same everywhere. So if I buy measuring cups and measuring spoons, they're made specifically for recipes and for measuring exact ingredients. They'll be the same everywhere, whether I buy them at the dollar store, whether I buy them at Walmart, or if I order them online. I know that they'll be the same size as the cups and spoons that the baker who wrote the recipe is using. Let's take a closer look at the measuring cups. As you can see, there are many different sizes. They start pretty small and get pretty big. The biggest measurement is 1 cup. This is considered 1 whole. It has the biggest volume and can fit the most inside. The rest of the cups after that are all parts of the whole cup. They're all fractions of the 1 cup. For example, the second largest measurement is 1/2. 1/2 cup. So that means that 2 of these, 2 half cups, equal 1 full cup. The next smallest measurement is 1/3 cup, or 1 out of 3. 3 of these cups will fit into the whole cup. 3/3 cups fit into 1 cup. Next is the 1/4 cup, or 1/4 cup. 4 of these, 4 1/4, or 4 1/4 cups, are the same as 1 full cup. 4 of these guys fit into this big guy. Let's test it out. We'll start with the 1/4 cup. 1/4. 4 of these should fit into the full cup. One, 2, 3, 4. 4 1/4 cups filled my 1 cup. Next, let's test the 3rd cup. 1/3, or 1 out of 3. 3 of these cups should fit into our whole cup. One, 2, 3. Voila! Finally, let's test our half cup. 1 out of 2. 2 of these should fill our whole cup, our 1 cup. One, 2. An easy way to remember how many of the smaller cups fit into the whole 1 cup is to look at the fraction and to look at the bottom number, the second number, also called the denominator. The half cup has a 2, so I know that 2 of these fit into my whole cup. The denominator on the 3rd cup, the 1/3, 1 out of 3, is a 3, so I know that 3 of these will fill my whole cup. Finally, my 1/4 cup, 1 out of 4, has a denominator of 4, so I know that 4 of these will fill my whole cup. Next, let's look at our measuring spoons. Measuring spoons come in 2 different measurements: tablespoons and teaspoons. I like to remember that tablespoons are the biggest spoon measurement because they're as big as a table. Not really, but it helps you remember. Teaspoons are the teeniest ones, the smallest size measurement. You can see that a tablespoon is much bigger than a teaspoon. My measuring spoons for tablespoons have 2 different tablespoon measurements: 1/2 and 1 whole tablespoon. Just like with our cups, my 1/2 tablespoon would require 2 of these to fill a 1 whole tablespoon. My measuring spoons that come in a teaspoon size have 4 different measurements: 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon or 1/4, and 1/8 teaspoon. Tablespoons are shortened to TBS, tablespoons. Teaspoons are shortened to TSP, teaspoons. Let's recap what we've learned so far with a quick multiple choice game. Question number 1. What is a measurement? Is it A, the number of treats I can eat in a day without getting sick? B, a number that shows the size or amount of something? Or C, the number of teachers it takes to screw in a light bulb? The answer is B. A number that shows the size or amount of something is a measurement. Question number 2. What is volume? Is it A, the length of something? B, the number of a book in a series? Or C, the amount of space that something takes up? The answer is C. Volume is the amount of space that something takes up. Question number 3. What do recipes do? Do they A, tell us how to make a certain dish, including the instructions, ingredients, and amounts or measurements? B, they measure how spicy a food will be? Or C, they tell us about the history of foods from different cultures? The answer is A. They tell us how to make a specific food, give us the instructions, the ingredients, and the measurements or amount of ingredients. Question number 4. What are 2 standardized measuring tools that we use in cooking and baking? A, mugs and jugs. B, forks and bowls. Or C, cups and spoons? The answer is C. Cups and spoons are standardized measuring tools in baking and cooking. That means that they're the same everywhere. Awesome job on that multiple choice, guys. Now, let's get started making the original Rice Krispie treats. Go and get your adult helper and head to the kitchen. Alright, thinkers and tinkers, we're going to start by buttering our pan. When I butter my pan, I just use a piece of paper towel, dip it in the butter, and spread it all around my pan. You could also use a spoon or a cooking spray, whatever you have at home. The reason we butter the pan is so that the Rice Krispie treats are easy to get out. Otherwise, they'll stick in there and they won't be as fun to eat. All buttered. Next, make sure you have your pot on the stove, but you don't need to turn it on. First, we're going to measure out 3 tablespoons of butter to melt in the pot. Remember, our tablespoons say TBS for tablespoons. I need 3 of these. There we have it, 3 tablespoons of butter inside my pot. Now I'm going to turn the stove on a very low heat and just melt the butter. Safety tip, make sure that the handle of your pot is turned in toward the counter or the stove. If you leave it turned out, you might bump into it, knock the pot off of the stove, and burn yourself. Keep it pointed in for safety, guys. While the butter is melting, I'm going to measure out my marshmallows. I need 4 cups. Remember, your cup is the biggest measurement. The biggest cup. Voila, 4 cups of marshmallows. Now that my butter is melted, I'm going to add the marshmallows to the pot. I'm going to do this very carefully, and I'm going to keep the heat on low. I want to melt the marshmallows completely. Make sure you have a wooden spoon that's good for stirring. They're starting to melt. Now that my marshmallows are completely melted, I'm going to turn off the burner and move it away from the heat. Now it's time to measure out the Rice Krispies. I need 6 full cups. 6 of these big guys. I'm going to very carefully measure them and add them in 1 cup at a time to my marshmallows. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to use my wooden spoon and mix it all together. One big sticky mess. Now that they're mixed together, I'm going to spread this Rice Krispie mixture out into the pan. A quick tip if you find that the Rice Krispies are sticking too much to your wooden spoon is to grab a second spoon and coat it with butter. This will stop it from sticking, and it'll allow you to push the Rice Krispies down into place. Try to make it as flat as you possibly can. Now you can leave your Rice Krispies to cool on the counter, and later, you can get an adult to help you cut them into squares. Great work, everybody. Also, guys, don't forget to clean up your kitchen. You made the mess, you clean it up. All right, Thinkers and Tinkers, we did it again. We learned about measurement, standardized measuring tools like cups and spoons that are used in baking and cooking. We learned about volume, recipes, and we even made Rice Krispie treats and got to practice our new skills. Great work, everyone. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know, how did your Rice Krispies turn out? Did you learn anything new about measurement today? Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll be back next Tuesday with more fun STEAM activities that you can do at home. Until then, thanks for watching, Thinkers and Tinkers.